Scott. Everybody has something about themselves that they would like to change, whether it be a big nose, big ears, a little bit too much belly fat. Well, everybody can change certain things such as belly fat, things like eye color and height, not so much. That is until recently. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic called liberal eugenics, also known as new eugenics or genetic engineering and the CRISPR technology. I'm going to be talking a little bit about what it is, how it started, and some of the pros and cons of it. Starting off with the history here, the word eugenics is heavily stigmatized, mostly because it's known in its origins to be used by the Nazis. The Nazis used it as a way to filter out traits that they didn't like among other people, whether it be being of color, having brown eyes, not being your typical Aryan, blonde hair, blue eyes person. But the opposite side of that coin would be using this system as a way to create non-subjective positive traits in people, such as not having cancer or not having hereditary diseases. DNA and CRISPR. To talk about CRISPR, we first need to define a few things. First being DNA, and second being CRISPR itself, what it stands for. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and DNA is the matter inside of all organisms, which holds genetic code, which tells what all the cells what to do. And CRISPR stands for clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. And if you bear with my crude illustration up here, I'll try to give you the very basics of how CRISPR works. It was originally found in ocean bacteria, and what happens is a virus will attach itself to bacteria here, and the virus will implant its own DNA into it and try to take over the bacteria cell. If the bacteria cell fights it and doesn't die, usually they do die, but if it doesn't, what happens is the virus goes away to screw this, and then the bacteria cell will create a genetic copy of the virus's DNA and hold it within itself. And then the next time another virus attaches to the bacteria, this little protein down here, which is called Cas9, scans all of the DNA of the bacteria cell, and it will find the match of the previous virus that had attached to it and say, okay, I know what that is, and then it will cut that segment out of the DNA chain and just completely eliminate it, rendering the virus attack useless. And the way that transfers into the humans would be for genetic diseases, it would either cut out the segment of that disease permanently, and for alterations, what they would do and what they're looking into is they cut out a specific genome, such as big ears, and then you replace it with more sizable ears, or whatever you would like. According to the Broad Institute, CRISPR was discovered by Francisco Mojica in Spain in 1993, and it was first used most recently in humans in only 2006, and was used in China to treat cancer patients, basically cutting out the genetic information that tells cancer cells to grow. Some of the pros of the CRISPR technology is to get rid of diseases. It has the power to just completely knock out all specific diseases. Increase life expectancy. The way it does this is you can engineer the cells just simply not to decay. Kind of like in genetically modified foods, you take out the genome that tells, say, tomatoes to rot in a certain time, they rot. And all of this will contribute to much lower healthcare costs, as you don't have to treat over a full lifespan all these diseases which would not be preventable. Some of the cons we have here is the biggest one is going to be, is it just morally right? Are we playing God? Yes or no, that's kind of up to you. The thing is, we kind of already do this. For example, some of my friends that had a child a few years ago and he was born with cerebral palsy. So they're considering having another child, but this time they're being a little bit more careful. They're having screening. She has a recessive precursor for cystic fibrosis. So they're testing him also to see if he has it, because if they both have it combined together, the chances of the child is much escalated. And another con would be to knocking out a specific disease may create unintended consequences from the evolutionary standpoint. Because evolution takes such a long time to happen, we don't know what would happen if we shortcut evolution by cutting out these diseases via man. And lastly, con would be people may take it too far, creating designer babies, having your children have exactly the hair color you like, exactly your eye color and height. According to the journal.ie, a British study showed that 90% of pregnancies where Down syndrome was pre-detected ended in abortion. So that kind of leads to a very slippery slope of, in the future, what would be determined as an undesirable child. In conclusion, to wrap things up, today we talked about liberal eugenics, some of the pros being getting rid of diseases, increasing life expectancy, and lowering healthcare costs. And some of the cons being, is it right morally, creating unintended consequences, and the chances of people taking it too far. While all of this seems like science fiction right now, genetic engineering and liberal eugenics is something that will definitely be coming very soon in the future, whether or not we agree with it. Thank you.